Welcome to Partnership Bliss with relationship navigation specialist Kimmy Avery. In her program each week, Kimmy provides the keys to blissful partnership so that you can navigate your relationship amazingly well and enjoy a foundation of peace, joy, and harmony that frees you to love open-heartedly and thrive in your life. Now, here's your host, Kimmy Avery.
I'm Kimmy Avery, Relationship Navigation Specialist and hostess of the Partnership Bliss podcast, where we talk about the keys to creating blissful partnership. Today, we're going to be talking with Wendy Newman, who I just adore. She's a media celebrated author and a dating, sex, and relationship expert who's led hundreds of workshops and has helped over 50,000 women internationally. How cool is that? Her book, 121 First Dates, How to Succeed in Online Dating, Fall in Love, and Live Happily Ever After, really is a juicy tell-all, part anti-rules dating guide. It's optioned for a Hollywood film, and we should get into that, and is getting love from the Wall Street Journal, Chicago Tribune, Washington Post, Glamour, Self, Huffington Post, and Access Hollywood, and more. I know that you've been working on this project, so I can't wait to talk about that too. And let's get started. Welcome, Wendy.
Hey, Kimmy, thank you so much for having me on.
Well, thank you for being here. We've known each other for a long time, which just makes me super happy because, you know, when you have somebody who comes into your life who's just amazing, you want to hold on to them. So I'm thrilled that you're here. And I'm thrilled that we've been kind of walking parallel paths, helping people. I work mostly with couples, but I do work with singles because it's so imperative to get the skill set to navigate your relationship before you're in it. It's actually a lot easier to work with couples, I think. What do you think about that? Is it easier with singles or couples?
Yeah, I think the best scenario of all is working with someone who is single and has found their partner, because then you can catch them right at the beginning of that building of the foundation where they can lay the foundation right and use the right tools and equipment and materials, right? Yeah. To make sure that house has a strong foundation that is going to withstand a lot of the turns that happen in life.
Yeah. This idea that we should just know how to be in relationship. Tell me what your thoughts are on that.
Well, you know, we should just, when we meet them and there's a lot of chemistry and you see them, no, right? I mean, it just comes naturally. There's no work, there's no effort. And if it fails for any reason later on, it just wasn't meant to be. I mean,
or it was their fault.
Yeah, clearly, I mean, yeah, we are so messed up. The stories we're telling ourselves in our culture that it just happens, or that people just get lucky, right? There's so many things that we can do to make all the difference, since men and women, as you know, Kimmy, we're responding to each other. So there's so much that can be done or not done from the beginning to really make a great relationship instead of a horrible failure of a relationship. So yeah, beginning is great. And I think, you know, you and I really did come from the same place where we were helping everyone, you know, mostly women, but everyone. And then I wrote this book and it sort of pigeonholed me into singles. And I love singles and I love the work that I do with singles. But man, diving into partnership is also so yummy.
Yeah. Well, and the singles, I mean, you came across this really by looking to find your life partner. And I love the title, 121 First Dates. And you are, well, tell me a little bit about how it was writing that, and like give me a juicy tip from there that you want all the ladies to know.
Yeah, sure. So here's the thing. I never, ever meant to go on 121 first dates.
Nobody does, right?
Who the hell would want to ever do that? Oh my God, that would be terrible, right? Yeah. You know, I remember hearing a woman in my community say, I'm going to go on 25 dates and I'm not going to commit to any of them. And it's just a science experiment for fun. And I thought, oh my God, 25, I never, right?
Right.
Little did I know, right? So the reason I wrote the book was because I did have so many experiences along the way. I didn't start it with date 1. I started writing it somewhere around date number 54 because of the experience that got me from 1 to 54, right?
Yeah.
That I had so much to help women not do what I did and to be more graceful. As I was learning to be more graceful, I could give that information to women so they could be more graceful and stop wasting time and maybe shortcut some heartache and things like that.
Right.
So really a sister girlfriend guide. I've been on this hiking trail before a lot. I know where the low-hanging branches are that'll whack you in the face. Let me help you. So that's what it's about. And I also provide short stories of actual dates. And the thing that I want to share from my experiences that make a difference is I ended up, now that I can look back in hindsight, I ended up going on 121 first dates for one very specific reason, which is I needed something in a partner. I needed a bunch of things. I mean, my list was long. I'm a really hard match. And oftentimes women will have really lengthy laundry lists of what they need. And it's totally fine. I'm not going to tell you to settle. You shouldn't settle. But you want to pay attention to your list because there are things on that list that will conflict with each other. Yes. And then you got to just pick, right? So 2 things on my list that I needed is I wanted a man to make me feel safe. He needed to be bigger than me. He needed to be stronger than me. By the way, I'm a big woman, right? I'm a size 16, so bigger than me, stronger than me, and taller than me, and all the things we love, right? And I needed him to make me feel really safe. I also needed a man to help me with the most important thing to me. The most important piece that I want to give to myself and my friends and my girlfriends and the world is freedom. Freedom is my number 1 priority. So to find a man that could make me feel safe, but to also make me feel free and autonomous, that's 2 different guys. And so one literally canceled out the other thing. You know, you got a big strapping Texan gonna make little Philly feel safe, but he's not gonna let you run off to Africa for 3 weeks and do a mission project. Can't keep you safe there. Or you meet the San Francisco hipster tech guy who's Mr. 50-50 intellectual guy. You might not feel safe with him.
Right.
So you want to look to see what's more important. And if they're both that important, you can hold out. But you've just narrowed your pond to about, I don't know, 2%, 1%, 0.5%. So you might have to go on 125 first dates before you tap into that very small market. So you want to look to see on your list what cancels the other thing out.
So for you, I know you're with a man now and you've been with him for 5 years, I think you said?
Yep, we've been together 5 years.
5 years. And does he give you the freedom and give you safety?
Yes, he does. I waited it out.
Well, I think, and my husband does too, right? I absolutely need freedom. I cannot be smothered. He's in Thailand for a month right now. He's coming back in 10 days and I'm really excited to see him.
I bet.
But he hadn't been gone. We had not been apart for 22 months. And I'm like, dude, you got to go. Just go on vacation. Go take care of yourself. And like, I need both of those and I get those. But part of it comes down to knowing that he's not voting on whether or not I'm a partner he wants to be with. He's not looking for anybody else. In my situation, he's looking for, like, we've made an agreement for monogamy. And whatever the agreement is between somebody, and being able to trust that you can count on that person to keep that, definitely makes us feel safe. Yep. And then allows the freedom to flourish, right?
Right.
How have you any secrets for navigating that? Because you waited for, now tell me your sweetheart's name. Is it, I want to say.
His name is Dave.
Yeah, okay,
yes.
good. Yeah. Just want to make sure, because I knew there was somebody else. So anyway, I wanted to make sure.
There were 120 someone else's.
Right. But what is it, like, how do you two navigate safety and the freedom in your partnership? Because I think that is truly a sweet spot that creates bliss. Because if I was clamped down and held into one position, oh my God, I would go absolutely freaking out of my mind. There's no way I could do it.
Yeah. So I have always felt safe with him. Somewhere around 9 months of hanging out together, we had a commitment ceremony, and then 5 years later we married, and neither of those activities caused my partner and I to feel any more safe together. Mm-hmm. So it's more in the dynamic of who we are for each other and what we can trust each other for, right? And I did a lot of looking. I looked under a lot of rocks. So I made sure that I wasn't going to settle for someone who didn't have a really high integrity.
Yeah.
That didn't say what he meant and meant what he said. That had a really strong backbone, who would tell me, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. This is not what we're doing today. Mm-hmm. Okay. At least I know where I stand with him.
Yeah.
And there's no wishy-washiness or passive aggressive or any of the bullshit things that can come along in some relationships where people just aren't strong enough to hold their ground.
Yeah.
So really for us, the safety comes in with being really straight with each other with what's happening. Mm-hmm. And I know what I can trust him for. Another big mistake we make is, can I trust him? I love him. I hope I can trust him. Well, no, what can you trust people for? Like good and bad. Dave can trust me to be either on time, barely on time, or 5 minutes late. He can trust me for that because I have a 5-year track record with him of that.
Right.
I can trust him to navigate us to be on time and or probably early. Right. So the little things, the tiny things, and the big things, there are things that we hope for. Like, boy, I hope if we broke up, we could be friends. Right. Mm-hmm. He actually can look at my history where I was married for over a decade and have a very good friend of mine who happens to be my ex-husband, who we are in a 30-year friendship. He's like my brother, right? So because of my 30-year track record with an ex-husband of mine, he can count on me to be gracious and good to him if it ever ended, right? So it takes out the hope, the magic, the wonder in a good relationship. Can it last? What? No. You actually just need to look at the person, look at their track record. What can they be counted on for? What can they not be counted on for with you and with the people from their past, right? So we came into this relationship as two really strong people who both needed freedom and a willingness to say, this is what's happening right now. This is what's going on. And we decided that we were just going to be free, that we can do anything we want. We're not going to become like axe murderers or anything because we have integrity. And we're not going to impinge on each other. We're not going to be rude, right? We're not going to go to Africa to do a mission job with a bunch of really cool people who want to be in service and forget to tell him, right? So be accountable and responsible to each other. But besides that, we're free. We're free because we can be free.
Well, and you set the foundation. You chose well. Yeah. You tested him. And I don't mean test like I'm going to test you. It's more like I'm going to watch what the behavior that I'm seeing. I'm going to notice how he actually is, or she actually is. I mean, if a man's listening to this, how is she actually? And if keep shaking my camera, how is she actually? How is he actually? And learn to navigate those things. And if those qualities are not part of or are anti of the things that you actually want and desire in your relationship, that person's not a match for you. You can love them and release them. I mean, I'm all about love. I'm big love. I want to help people have amazing relationships, whether or not it's romantic. Yeah. And that's like, I love that you and your former husband, best friend now of 30 years. I mean, you've got that track record. I've got that track record. I can call just about anybody I've been in relationship with at any time. I don't all the time because I've got my husband and I'm doing my life and they're doing theirs, and everybody has, we're busy, crazy busy in this life. But knowing that you can trust Dave to be able to have the conversations that you need to about what's important to you is also critical. And I think there's honesty, and then there's radical honesty. And I think that kind of honesty is based on a strong foundation. And it also not only is a strong foundation, it's how do I say, it's like a commitment to being in integrity with yourself, a commitment to being integrity in your partnership, and being able to wake up with who you are every single day because you're true to your word, you know?
Yeah.
That's really imperative.
Yeah, and one of the ways that we interact with each other that is kind of counterculture, and I bet you do it too, Kimmy, is that we relate to each other like no one's misbehaving.
Yeah.
Right? And I've taken it one step further with him, and I completely didn't mean to do this. It's a total accident. It happened on our second or third date.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're getting to know each other and you're revealing little bits of your history, and he wanted to tell me something, but he kept getting that sort of hangdog, like,
oh, I'm embarrassed.
I'm the greatest person. I don't know if I want to tell you this. I want you to like me, right? And he kept kind of stopping himself. And I just, because I wanted to hear the juicy thing so bad, I just blurted out, I said, you can tell me anything. You're never going to be in trouble with me. What? And the minute I said, you'll never be in trouble with me, I thought, well, maybe I'll just sleep with him then and move on, because that can't be a real relationship. And then within 2 seconds, I thought, wow, what a weird concept to try and live your whole life coming from the places of you will never be in trouble with me.
Yeah.
That's no one's misbehaving, where the rubber meets the road, right? Yeah. And I thought, damn, could I even do that? And I decided I was going to try. And 5 years in, it works. Now, does that mean that things don't happen and problems come up and we get frustrated or sad or angry or disappointed? Of course.
Right.
It's not geared or aimed at that person.
Mm-hmm.
It's aimed at the solution of, I own my own experience, and it's a bad one right now. It's experience I'm having. So let me come find the words to bring the problem that I'm having to see if they want to help me solve my own problem.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, you did it, you're a jerk, you made me feel terrible, fix it, say you're sorry. We don't do that around our house, ever. And it's powerful. It's empowering for both of us to own our own experience, to never have the other one be in trouble with us. And the fallout of having a man who's never, ever in trouble is he will tell you anything and everything. I'm like, whoa. I don't want to know that. Too much intimacy for me. It's too much. So yeah, I mean, that's the other side of it.
Right. Well, and that, of course, knowing that he's not going to be in trouble from you for expressing whatever, you know, women often are saying he doesn't communicate, he holds himself back, he conceals things. Yeah, if it's not safe emotionally for him to reveal, he's not going to reveal.
Ever.
Period. Ever.
Ever.
You know, I mean, I love this example of Clinton being on trial for this experience with Monica Lewinsky for 2 years. And he still didn't say, I messed around with the intern. Like,
nope. I never had sex with that woman.
You know? It's like, they're going to conceal, especially being put on the public stage, especially humiliated. And he's trying to protect himself, and it's crazy stuff. And so if you can make it safe for your partner to share with you, we need physical safety. Absolutely. I mean, you were describing how Dave's bigger than you and he can protect you, and that's awesome. And men need emotional safety. And if we can give it to them, they will be wanting to play in our circle for life. Really, it's that imperative, I think, that we provide that safety and don't blow up at them for expressing something that we don't want to hear, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well, and the really sad thing is men can live without it. They can live without emotional safety. They'll just have so many filters and layers that have to every word that they think about saying passes through and oftentimes doesn't make past the filter.
Right.
It's not safe, right? So if you want intimacy, you have got to make it safe.
Yes.
You've got to. And not at your own apparel, not that you're just, now you are emotionless and you're sucking it up and taking one for the team. I'm not training women to be a doormat. That's the last thing I would ever want. But it is incredibly freeing and incredibly empowering. You know how much freedom means to me. It's incredibly freeing and incredibly empowering to own your own experience, to be able to say, ouch, okay, let me take a breath. Let me look at what I need. Let me see what just happened there. Let me see what got trampled on. And then I can wait until I'm calm enough to come back around and say, hey, so can I share with you an experience that I had? Mm-hmm. I don't need you to apologize for it, but I'm going to ask for your help to see if we can fix it together.
Yeah.
And then they're now saving you from yourself.
Right.
They're helping you. They're helping their good good friend and their partner. They're helping them out of that jam they're in, right? Versus being in trouble, being in the doghouse, which is really where it goes.
And if we can be responsible for our emotions and our feelings, it's nobody else's responsibility. I mean, I love this book by Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements, and it's don't take anything personally, be impeccable with your word, always do your best, and there's a fourth one. It doesn't matter. But the point is that if I'm responsible for how I feel, nothing anybody ever does is because of me. And if I'm responsible for how I'm responding to whatever situation, I'm noticing what I'm feeling in the situation. I'm noticing that experience. And then I can have a better communication with the partner or anybody really about what's going on for me, which is, and blame free. That gives you an immense amount of partnership foundation. To not be blaming somebody for how you're feeling. This happens all the time, and it's so tragic.
It doesn't help.
It doesn't help. No, and we're hardwired to look for the problems. So we look for the problems, we complain about the problems, we hope they're going to change, and they don't change because that's not what makes things change. Giving people quality information. I'm noticing I feel really violated right now. I'm noticing I'm upset. I must have been triggered. I'm curious, this thing that you said to me, would you be willing to say it a slightly different way? That would really help me calm down because I've got this flare up right now.
Yeah.
Way to say it. You know, there are lots of ways to say it. I mean, that's part of what you and I probably both work on in our coaching is I do a lot of talking people off a ledge and how to reframe and keep the conversation going instead of having it be a stop and undermine the relationship completely, right?
Yeah, and one of the things that I'm famous for with him is when something really triggers me, when something really hurts my feelings, I'll say something like, and I'll wait until I can say it. Like sometimes it might take me 15 minutes or so, right? And in that 15 minutes, I'll usually disappear. It's just easier for me to disappear to process it out, right? To be able to breathe through it and process it out and not pull him in when it's not time to pull him in. So I might come back around and say something like, hey, so can I tell you something? My inner critic made something up about what you said. Hey, so you know how you just said the thing with the deal and the place and what you saw about that? Yeah. Well, she added more meaning. She thought that you also meant that you don't find me attractive anymore and that blah, 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 blah. And he could go, oh my God, no. And then he can save me from my own inner critic. So he's now interacting with that crazy lady in my head instead of me. She becomes that third person, right? That inner critic becomes that third person. Because she isn't you. She's no more you than your toenail is you. She's just the voice in your head, right? So we interact with the crazy lady and then he clarifies what he really meant instead of what she added. And that works really well because he's never in trouble. He's interacting with a crazy lady that's not me.
And I love how you just said that. My inner critic made a complete story about that, or you didn't say it quite like that, but
that's what you had to add.
Something about this, and I just want to check this out. It'd be helpful if you could help me clarify. you know?
Yeah.
Love that.
And with the foundation of knowing that my partner means well, and he's always out to save me from anything, including myself, that I can count on him, because he has a track record, I can count on him to interact with me in that way. So I don't have to get all defensive or upset, or, you know, he's going to do the work with me.
Yeah. Well, and that's imperative. I mean, I keep using that word, but it is. And it also, we've got to be, as women, responsible for how we're feeling, be able to give quality information. And I don't know if you've heard this statistic, but it came from a 40-year-long study at UC Berkeley. And the single most important factor for relationship longevity is a woman's ability to recover after an argument. Yeah. I love that, because it gives us clarity that if we can work on what's going on here, how we're showing up. Even I was coaching a couple yesterday, and she's got a tendency that I'm starting to call the viper tendency, where she hears something, she makes a snap judgment and attacks, and it's like that. And it's the reason their relationship isn't going to work out, because she's not, or if it doesn't work out, it's because of that snap judgment, that viper syndrome. And we were working on how to just pause for 10 seconds even. I mean, I've had to pause for as many as 10 minutes and lock myself in a bathroom and just breathe and remind myself what I want from this interaction, remind myself of the positive things that are happening, that I do love about this person. Because sometimes it's hard to see when you're triggered. You have to just be able to calm yourself down. Otherwise, you're going to have some big challenges. Yeah. So we do have to wind up. I would love you to tell our listeners what your special gift is for them. I didn't tell them tell you. You've got a beautiful gift for our listeners.
So this is can I?
Yeah, please go for it.
Okay, so this is going to tell you everything that we've been talking about up in a big red bow, okay? Because this is the other piece. And what I'm going to give you as a gift is my 15 questions that we ask each other. It's called a full moon ritual, very California wooey thing, right? Yeah. But we do right around the full moon, like now, we do a full moon ritual. And, you know, if we're traveling or something on the full moon day, we just do it another day around there. But bottom line is every month, Dave and I have a meeting around the full moon. And we create this really yummy space, and we get all together and meditate for a minute together and bring the energy into one, right? And then we ask each other back and forth a series of 15 questions that they're basically like housekeeping on the relationship that are really important. Like one of the first questions is there anything that you need from me that you're finding hard to get? And my favorite question is, so what did you make up about me or us this month?
I like that.
Right? It was just like, and it's this, because there's never a good time to talk about the hard stuff. And sometimes we take a big gulp and we just suck it up. We're going to take one for the team because there wasn't enough time to bring up bad news, right? And so this is that check under the rugs and in the corner for dust bunnies, light housekeeping that has our relationship stay easy breezy. And then at the very end, towards that end of that series of questions, the questions turn into, what do you love about me right now, this month, right now? And what do you love about our partnership right now? So it's always looking at the present instead of, well, I picked you because, I picked you 5 years ago because, no, now, what's happening now? So it keeps it in the present. So I give that gift to you of the 15 questions that you can tailor to ask in your relationships to do that light housekeeping.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. And, I have my clients do a daily connection ritual, which is incredibly valuable. And this housekeeping piece is so important because it doesn't actually take a ton of time to develop that deepness, that super intimate connection. What it takes is quality time, quality information. And if you're not doing the house cleaning, the little things, the dirty sock syndrome, the cap off your toothpaste, they become things that break the relationship over time, which is completely ridiculous. So I love, love, love that. And that will be found at partnershipblissgifts.com. You go through the magic doorway, partnershipblissgifts.com, and you'll be able to get access to this amazing gift from Wendy. And on that note, I really want to support you in having an amazing relationship. Please email any questions to me. Please let me know what you need. And I am so grateful that Wendy has been here with us. I'm grateful for 2 people, and I know that there are more out there, but we're trying to uplift the relationships on this planet because we can get so much more done when we're in blissful partnership. And the truth is we can create that one heart at a time. And that's my wish for you, is to have that experience in your life. And please go to Partnership Bliss Gifts. See you next week. Thanks, Wendy.
Thanks, Kimmy.
Thank you for listening. I hope you take what you learned today and practice living in integrity and on purpose so that you can create partnership bliss. I'd love it if you would take a moment and comment, rate, and share this podcast. It would mean the world to me. And be sure to go to partnershipblissgifts.com to get your special gift. See you next week.